Welcome to Tantrum House Studio D. I'm Kevin Delp. Today we're going to look at a bunch of board games launching on Kickstarter this November, and we would love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On November 1st, we'll see Kapow, a dice building game with buildable dice. Superhero or supervillain, you decide. Your customizable dice pool is used to execute a variety of superpowers, gain special abilities, and new play experiences by taking on the role of 10 different heroes or villains. We'll see an expansion to Brass Empire, New Canton. It's the first expansion to Brass Empire, a strategic deck-building card game of corporate espionage. The main game can be learned in just a few minutes, but has a tremendous amount of depth and different paths to victory. This expansion focuses on 5 different characters in an epic story of greed, corruption, love, and tragedy. On November 1st, we'll also see Mountaineers. It's a strategic board game in which 1 to 6 players compete against each other and AI climbers to earn climbing points or victory points as they maneuver around a rotating 3D modular game board. Shadow Strike Melee is a card game for 3 to 9 players. All you need to do is knock out your opponents by playing better cards than they do. The catch? You can't see your cards like Hanabi, so only your foes know what cards you have. Dawn of Peacemakers launches November 2nd. It's an evolving board game with a continuing campaign. Players take roles of adventurers attempting to quell the hostilities between 2 warring sides. You'll have to trust and cooperate with your fellow players in order to reach a more peaceful conclusion. The game consists of a number of scenarios which form an exciting story-driven campaign. There are multiple secrets and surprises in the box to be unveiled in certain points of the story. November 2nd will also see Portals and Prophets for 2 to 5 players. In this game you get to journey in a portal back to the time of the kings and prophets of old to witness the events of the sacred scriptures. There is so much to see and so little time to see it. The portal is moving quickly. Runes of Ragnarok launches November 3rd. It's a dice-based elimination game for 2 to 4 players. It features over 40 custom dice, 4 heroes, and 24 creatures. Take on the role of one of Asgard's legendary gods and battle against other players for control of the 9 realms. Cast the runes, summon mighty creatures, and wield powerful magic as you battle your foes in this free-for-all game of wits and strategy. Warmonger is a reworking of the classic card game War that launches November 6th. We'll also see U-Boot on November 6th. It's a fully cooperative, real-time tabletop game of World War II submarine warfare. It allows 1 to 4 players to assume the roles of the captain, the first officer, the navigator, and the chief engineer. The game is enhanced by a companion app, allowing for an unprecedented level of realism, as well as challenging enemy AI, which will push your skills to the limit. The action unfolds both on the strategic and the tactical scale, always demanding teamwork, efficient crew management, and quick situation assessment. In early November, we'll see Mistfall: Chronicles of Frost. It's a deck-building adventure game set in a dark fantasy universe rich in its own lore, shared by the Mistfall, Heart of Mists, and Shadowscape. Also on November 6th, we'll see Ironclad. It's a cooperative space opera game for 1 to 3 players. It's a story-driven campaign that puts you in a far future of our world, in the midst of a cosmic Cold War era between the various galactic spanning factions. In early November, we'll see Holmes and Moriarty by Escape Velocity Games. We'll be interviewing Steve on our podcast. Holmes & Moriarty is an asymmetric 2-player drafting game in which players take on these iconic roles. Over the series of hands, players try to win cases by drafting crimes and clues drawn from Conan Doyle's stories. Mars Open launches November 7th from Bellwether Games for 1 to 4 players. It's a Dexterity golf game. We will have a video review of this coming soon, and we'll also have Dennis from Bellwether Games on our podcast, so check that out. We'll see the relaunch of Galactic Warlords Battle for Dominion on November 7th. It's a card-driven game of tactical deployment and planet control. On November 7th, we'll see Dino Dude Ranch Hatchlings and its expansion to Dino Dude Ranch. We'll see the Andrana Project on November 7th. It's a group game for 4 to 10 players, played face-to-face, supported on your smartphone or tablet. November 7th, we'll see Feeding Zombies. It's a cooking survival game for 1 to 2 players, ages 10 and up. It's a quick but challenging filler game offering 3 different game modes. On November 11th, we'll see D-Day Dice for 1 to 4 players. Players are allied soldiers trying to organize improvised units for an attack against the machine gun nest in a multiplayer co-op game. On November 14th, we'll see Gearworks for 2 to 4 players. It's a steampunk strategy game featuring card placement, hand management, and a twist on area control. Check out our video review coming in a few weeks. In Road Warrior, the tabletop touring experience, players are band members who traverse a map of America, playing shows and building fame. Sometime in November, I believe Beneath will launch for 2 to 4 players. It's a dungeon-crawling board game with a slight difference. Each player pits their will against each other, mining, trapping, stealing, and fighting. On November 14th, we'll see Andoria Battlefields relaunch, and on November 20th, we'll see Home of the Brave. Late in November, we'll see CO2 Second Chance. This re-implements the game CO2, but it also brings a cooperative mode of play and a solo play based on goals. Probably in November, we'll see the game Hate by Simon. It's from Guillotine Games as well, and based on the graphic novels by the acclaimed Adrian Smith. Hate is a highly kinetic, endlessly brutal campaign of post-apocalyptic survival. After Essen, I believe we'll see Obsession as a game about Victorian England in the 1800s for 1 to 4 players. Also after Essen, I think we'll see Tombed. It's a dungeon-style game for 2 to 5 players set in Egypt in the 1940s. In this game, a group of adventurers enters an ancient Egyptian temple to fulfill a contract that will make them rich and famous. What the brave adventurers ignore is that their presence will awaken ancient pharaohs. Well, thanks for joining us today. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to check out our weekly Tantrum House board gaming podcast.